Hey friends, Danny D here from Solicitous Comics, and there's one new one on Indiegogo, but I'm not going to do a video on just one comic that's come out. I'm going to wait until there's a couple more so I can put them all together, because doing a 30-second video is kind of a moot point. Um, Instead, I figured I'd do this video where I'm going to discuss a little tiny bit about what people perceive is happening to comicsgate. Now, I'm going to put this in a slightly different context, dealing with something that I know quite well, automobiles. Bear with me, you'll understand in a minute. But a lot of people think that comicsgate is breaking up, or a lot of people think that people should be abandoning comicsgate. But comicsgate is just a consumer movement. That's all it is. There's nothing else to it. It's not real. It has no entity. It doesn't do a thing. Like I said, it's just a movement. It's a bunch of consumers that are tired of the garbage that they're being given. Now, because of that, they want what they want. They are the customer. Now, I've said a couple of times in some of my videos, I work on cars, older classic cars. Somebody comes in, wants their car painted pink, their car gets painted pink. That's what the customer wants. But in getting on to what people are freaking out over comicsgate, some people who are part of the consumer base that is fed up with what's going on are afraid that comicsgate is splitting up. It's not. Don't worry about it. And I'll explain why in a minute. Now, the NPCs, shall we say, the so-called professionals that don't know how to deal with their customers, they want comicsgate to go down because then they're the only business in town. Now, the way I would antiquate this, the way I would present this to you so you can understand what I'm thinking, when cars came out, the horseless carriage as it was called back then, people who built carriages freaked out. They did not want to see automobiles become mainstream. This was affecting their livelihood. Now, there are quite a few of them who figured out that, hey, these automobiles still need bodies, so basically they are a horseless carriage. They still need the carriage. You know, they still needed wheels built. They still needed benches. They still needed sides, doors. All that still had to be built. So some of them figured out, hey, I can build this for this customer. I still do what I enjoy doing. So they adapted. They adapted to the customer's needs, and that's what they did. The ones who didn't went by the wayside, and oh well, such is business. Now, coming to how people think comicsgate is breaking up. It's not so much breaking up. Think of it as it is breaking up into its own little fragments. It's still all the same thing. It's still consumer base. It's just people are looking for slightly different things. Oh great, it's starting to rain now. I build old classic cars. I see old classic cars in a certain way. I don't like newer cars. That's why I don't do body work anymore, because newer cars are just held together with clips. They're all plastic. You can't adjust things. I just don't like them. So I got out of that field probably about 4 months ago, and now I'm doing something else. But I still love working on older classic cars. Now, my particular speciality is I can look at a car and I see different potential. If you happen to know what a Dodge Magnum is, and if you don't, Google it, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's a four-door station wagon. Now, in the 50s and mid 60s, Ford and GM had a two-door station wagon. The Chevy version of it was the Nomad. I forget the name of the Ford version of it, but they were really cool looking cars. They were two-door station wagons. You don't see that very often. Now, the Magnum is a four-door, but when I saw the Magnum for the first time, the first thing that came into my head is, hey, drop a Hemi in that thing, stretch the front doors, weld up the back doors, and then you've got yourself a modern two-door Nomad, but by Dodge. It's never been made before. That was one of the things. Another one was the Durango. The Durango, to me, I look at that, and that's the perfect body to make a modern-day Woody out of. It's a perfect body for it. It's got the right lines. Everything's there. Another one, the Camaro. I came up with a very interesting idea of how to make a newer El Camino out of a Camaro. I was going to call it an El Camaro. Might build one of those just out of giggles. And then another station wagon I'd like to build, this sounds kind of odd, but I would like to take an old 60s, early 60s Mustang and make a station wagon out of it. Ford never did that, but I think that would be a very interesting thing. Now, that's my shtick. Now, there are guys out there, there are guys around where I live that do stereos. They build stereo cars. Cars are amazing looking. They go right out. I mean, it's crazy what they do with the electronics, the TVs that pop out of the trunk, all the speakers, everything. That's not my shtick. I'm not good at that. I'm good at doing the fabrication part on older muscle cars. Strange things, stretching doors, changing the style of a fender. That's the type of stuff that I'm good at. I'm not good at building speaker boxes and putting all these motorized electronics. That's not my thing. But both of them are custom cars. It's just somebody else that I know of, they do that and they do that well. Whereas what I do is what I do well. So if a customer comes and they're looking for a classic car and they want to do something different, they come see me. But if they want a modern car or a classic car and they want a crazy stereo system in it, they go see this other person. So that's what's happening with comicsgate right now. People are going into their own little niches, and certain customers will go here, certain customers will go there, and then some will crisscross. So I wouldn't worry about comicsgate. I know Ethan had a video on this morning. I watched it while I was getting ready for work, and it was with, I do believe the gentleman's name was Ash, and he thought that Ethan should concern himself with just his business, because he said you are in the business for comicsgate. You shouldn't be, how did he state it, a consumer. He's wrong. I mean, I love cars. I'm both a producer and a consumer. As for what Ethan's doing, do what you're doing. You'll know. You will see if something is working or something is not. And that's what I would tell this gentleman. I could tell that he's never owned a business before just by the way he was speaking, because he doesn't understand certain things about a business that only somebody who's owned a business before would know. And if it's dropping the name comicsgate because the particular crowd that you deal with don't like that word, you drop it. It's no problem. You're comics. You are indie comics. You come up with another name. It's all it is dealing with the customer. Nobody's doing anything wrong, and everybody's just going into their own little niches. You'll see, as this progresses, you will notice that there are different little factions that'll pop up here and there, and each one will have their own little niche. Each one will have their large customer base and maybe a few people from others. The comics that I like to collect, I didn't like Batman, I didn't like Superman. That wasn't my style of comics. Me, I collected Ghost Rider. I loved heavy metal. I collected that. Todd McFarlane's Spawn, that was just amazing to me. That was the style of comic that I liked. Wasn't like Batman or Superman. or the Fantastic Four or any of those. It wasn't that style or genre that I liked. Now, do I like that stuff? Of course I do. I mean, I've got a few of them. It's just that wasn't my main interest. I did have some Fantastic Four comics when I was a kid. I did have some Batman. I love the Batman when he fights Superman. The one from the 80s. That one's my favorite one. Not this new stuff that they have. It was horrible. But anyway, that's another story. So people's tastes are going to change. People's tastes are going to go where they want to go. So if you're worried that comicsgate is disappearing, don't, because customers are always out there. It's not everybody who wants me to do something to a 65 Mustang or an old Ranchero or an old 60s or early 70s Camaro. It's a particular customer that comes to see me to do stuff like that. It's not going to be the guy who, has the new Honda and he wants to drop whatever the latest Honda engine is with, the latest and greatest turbo in that. That's not my thing. That's not what I build. I would tell him to go find somebody who builds that because they're better at it. Not that I can't build it, but they're better at it. So go to somebody who does that. So I hope that kind of explains the way I see the situation with comicsgate going. Bit of a ramble, I guess, but like I said, I had no videos for Indiegogo today. And on another note, somebody that I've been following, I've already got 2 of his comics, is coming out with another comic soon. It's going to be a comic on, I hate to say witchcraft, but it has to deal with magic and stuff. Not like Harry Potter, but more of an adult theme. It'll be coming out soon. It will be coming out Kickstarter. I don't do Kickstarter, except for his stuff. I really do like what he's putting out. So I will be promoting that one very shortly. I just figured he watches my videos every once in a while, so I figured I'd give him a shout out, brother, and as soon as you let me know that it's there, trust me, I'll promote it. On that note, my friends, it's Monday. Hopefully there's more comics on Indie tomorrow, and I'll hopefully have another video up. If not, when more comics come up, I will do a video. I will definitely do one at least Wednesday, even if it's just one. But as to that, my friends, I wish you all a great evening.